Namaskar, everyone. It's an honor and a privilege to moderate a high-level, impactful panel like this. We have a representation of three states here: Maharashtra, Odisha, and Madhya Pradesh. And we are also having the director of the IT company, Property Software, whose skit you just now saw before the tea break. So. First of all, I will request the Sanjeev Jaiswal ji, who is the Vice President and CEO of MHADA, to talk about some of the progress and achievements of the affordable housing scheme in the Maharashtra state, and how it can be a what do you call learning for other states also. Yeah.
Thank you, Ravi ji, and a warm welcome to all the panelists present here. I think it's a very interesting question that you have asked, Ravi ji, that what is the role of MHADA as far as affordable housing is concerned, and what are the measures that we take to promote this. So as I said in my inaugural speech today, MHADA has a legacy, and like state government was very, I would say, advanced at that time in thinking to have a separate organization or a body for the construction of affordable houses in the state and especially in Mumbai. Initially, the journey started with the government giving land parcels to MHADA, and on those land parcels, MHADA used to call for contracts and going for development of buildings, keeping in mind the pricing of it. But over the years, as land has started getting scarce, and there's a paucity of the land that is available for the state government to pass on to MHADA, the focus has changed now. Now, talking about Mumbai specifically, the whole thrust in Mumbai is on redevelopment. Now, when I say redevelopment in Mumbai, it has two components. One component is for the 114 layouts, which is owned by MHADA and leased to various societies. And the second aspect is about the so-called cess buildings, which basically are dilapidated buildings which are still being housed, but their construction is almost 60, 80 or even 100 years old. With a spree of policies and amendments in the DCPR and the other UD related issues, government has been constantly trying to see that it is very viable for a private developer to come across and take this redevelopment. So when I say viable for a private developer, ultimately, as a government organization, our primary focus is to protect the rights of the tenants who are residing there. And even if their existing carpet area is less than 160 square feet or around 180 square feet, as mentioned by Sandeep in his presentation on Raymonds, the square feet that they are giving in terms after the rehabilitation is as good as 560. And that is the case everywhere. So under 33.5 now, as a thumb rule, no one gets less than 508 square feet. And for the rehabilitation of the cess buildings, which is governed by my colleague, Mr. Shambarkar, who is heading the repair board, no one gets an allotment of less than 300 square feet. This is the bare minimum. Thereafter, there are certain incentives that is given. So under 33.7 redevelopment, apart from the basic area which I mentioned of, there is an incentive of 5%, 8% and 15%, which is given if it is one building or more, two buildings or more than 5 buildings. Similarly, we have also a concept whereby the plot size is also a factor for getting an added incentive. Third is what we have in the state is we have a calculation that is made whereby the ratio in terms of the land rate and the rate of construction. So based on that ratio, another percentage is passed on to the tenant or the people staying in the society. So it's a win-win situation. People staying in dilapidated buildings or people staying in buildings which need to be redeveloped do not have the means of redevelopment on their own. So they are, compensated by giving a better house with much better amenities of a higher carpet area, which makes them come forward to go in for these projects. And second is that because of the increase in FSI which has been given, so like again, as I mentioned, under 33.5, the basic FSI is 3, but if the plot area is more than 4,000 square meters or and abutting an 18-meter wide road, then they are entitled to a 4 FSI. Similarly, for the redevelopment of the CES buildings, the basic FSI is 3, but supposedly the rehab component is more than 3. Then the incentive is in such a way that practically the FSI that is consumed at times goes up to as high as 7 or 8. So we are seeing a change. A lot of private developers are coming forward. Very big names in the real estate are coming forward and going in for projects under redevelopment under both the segment. And the one reason which I foresee for most of the private players to play a very proactive role is also the fact that Mumbai being a landlocked city, there's a constraint of land. And the only solution as far as the future is concerned for affordable housing would be a vertical growth. And at the same time, MHADA as a state government organization, our responsibility is to see that it is within the affordability limits of the people, especially in the category of EWS, which is the economically weaker section, and LIG, that is the lower income group. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think it deserves applaud that he highlighted the various constraints which Mumbai has because of the being a landlocked city, and has talked about the collaboration between the government and the private sector, and also about the vertical growth and the FSI which has got relaxed over the years. So if we have the speaker from Odisha, who, like if you can highlight about your experience in affordable housing, Mr. Dr. Parth Sarthi Mishra, IS, who is Director cum Additional Secretary, Department of Public Enterprises, Government of Odisha. Over to you.
A very good afternoon. All my esteemed panelists over here, of the dais, all the guests over here. I am Dr. Parthasarthi Mishra. I'm an IS officer from the Odisha cadre. I am here to give one of our best practices on housing. So I think that is one of the role model in the entire country. So I thought a brief 2-3 lines on how Odisha has been adopting the affordable housing, so that you can judge how we have been doing it. Before that, I would rather quote Matthew Desmond, the famous American sociologist. He says, housing is essential for every human development. Housing is dignity. Housing is stability. Without housing, the entire ecology of life fails. So housing has become so very important for all of us, wherever we stay here. It has become one of the most palpable reality where all officers, bureaucrats, we face every day. Now, looking at the Odisha's scenario, let me tell you that when PMAY came, Odisha is one of the first state in 2015-16. We have adopted 2 very ambitious policies, and accordingly the entire plan was done. One is called Awas, the other is called the Jaga Mission. The Awas is one Odisha urban housing development policy where we have, the first thing was, the biggest challenge was how best we can identify. The identification of the urban poor or the economically poor people, that was the biggest challenge for us. Because as you know that there are many influx from other states, other countries also from Bangladesh and all. It was a very great challenge for all of us who were in governance, that how best we can identify our people who will be the beneficiaries. The first vertical of this policy was beneficiary-led construction. Wherever the slums were there, we thought that since there was a huge land constraint in urban areas, particularly in Bhubaneswar, I'm telling you, there are 30,000 government lands have been encroached. This is the statement of last two days back by the urban minister. So, lot of slums, 50% of them are all these slum areas. So the idea was that in situ, these slums we need to develop. So first of all, we thought that we laid these slum dwellers so that they can have their construction of the houses by the government support. So that is one very ambitious thing we have implemented, and you will not believe, out of the 4,30,000 houses planned, already 70% have been done. That is a great achievement. The second important thing is that for the PPP mode, Odisha is the first state in fact in the entire country to adopt this PPP mode on affordable housing. And RERA was first constituted, and there was a task force which was headed by our chief secretary. The convener was the urban secretary, and it was a massive exercise went on, and finally we had that done. So that is one achievement we had. So now that committee has recommended for a consortium where builders have been involved. The entire government machinery is also involved. They have been assigned this work. And for this, the entire study of all this, the IFC, International Finance Corporation of World Bank, has been engaged, and under their report and guidance, we have done this. The third thing which is important is called the Jaga Mission. Jaga Mission is a comprehensive development program by Government of Odisha, where the Government of Odisha, we want that just not to develop the affordable housing, we want and it's a comprehensive program where there could be public road, the electricity, the hygienic, we try to that all other verticals of a human's development can be clubbed together. So all the policies of the government have been dovetailed in the Jaga Mission. So we have a separate wing for this Jaga Mission approach, and I am happy to announce that for these two programs, government Bhubaneswar has become the #1 smart city in the entire country for 2020-21 and 21-22. It has been declared the #1 smart city in the entire country. So what I want to say that if you adopt a policy which is pragmatic, we have a lot of challenges as well. We face a lot of challenges. We had a lot of issues as well, lot of court cases, lot of other pressures. But still then, we have navigated our policies and program in such a manner that we could stood out. So it is a humble request to all the bureaucrats that policy and programs, they are dead if we do not apply our own way of executing it. That is how best we can do it. So it is one of the best practices in the country. And Maharashtra is a big state. Maharashtra has a lot of developmental models. They have a lot of affordable housing thing. So our practice that involving all the stakeholders, bringing them under one umbrella, making them convinced, and achieving all the targets in a given time, within the time schedule, work schedule has been given very, very in a fixed manner. So I hope with this note I will end. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the landmark development which is happening in Odisha. You explained this whole situation, and I think it can inspire other states also. Let me request our next speaker from Madhya Pradesh, Mr. Parikshit Sanjay Rao Zade, who is an IS officer, who is the Additional Commissioner of Urban Development and Housing Department at Government of MP. So if you can speak about some of the affordable housing initiatives and other housing initiatives also.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to thank you, MHADA, Elets, and Raymond Reality to give me the opportunity to have a cross learning in housing sector. मैं एक मध्य प्रदेश का एक ओवरऑल अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग का पिक्चर आपके सामने बताना चाहूँगा एंड हाउ एमपी did some things differently so that it has become the top performing states in India in affordable housing sector in प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना अर्बन. एमपी की अगर बात करें तो 2011 के सेंसस के हिसाब से लगभग इसकी पॉपुलेशन 7 CR है, 7 करोड़ है एंड अर्बन पॉपुलेशन अगर माने तो लगभग उसका 30% है. प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना अर्बन के माध्यम से हमने लगभग 24% अर्बन हाउस होल्ड को प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना से लाभान्वित किया है. MP has been the second largest state, मतलब after Andhra Pradesh, who has given 31% of urban household affordable housing. MP ने लगभग 24% हाउस होल्ड के साथ लगभग 1.5 से 2 करोड़ लोगों को इसका लाभ दिया है. प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना अर्बन के विभिन्न जो वर्टिकल्स है, जैसे अभी प्रीवियस स्पीकर ने बताया कि बेनिफिशियरी लेड कंस्ट्रक्शन, अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग इन पार्टनरशिप एंड क्रेडिट लिंक सब्सिडी स्कीम, ये तीनों मतलब वर्टिकल्स में मध्य प्रदेश ने वर्क किया है. और मुझे बताते हुए बहुत खुशी है कि लगभग 9.5 लाख घर मध्य प्रदेश ने सैंक्शन किए थे इस तीनों वर्टिकल्स के अंदर और अभी फ़िलहाल में 85% हाउस कंप्लीटेड है. जो चैलेंजेस है अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग ने, हमने प्रीवियस इंट्रोडक्टरी सेशन में भी देखा कि सबसे क्रूशल इशू है लैंड, अफोर्डेबल लैंड. तो मध्य प्रदेश में इसमें एक जो चीज़ की है कि उनका एक 1984 की पॉलिसी है एंड 2023 की पॉलिसी है कि अगर कोई परिवार उस आबादी क्षेत्र में बहुत सालों से रह रहा है तो विथ मिनिमम प्रीमियम वी कैन गिव देम आवासीय भू अधिकार पट्टा. सेकेंडली, इन affordable housing in partnership projects, government has given free land for that projects. लगभग पूरे मध्य प्रदेश में 79 प्रोजेक्ट्स अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग इन पार्टनरशिप में चल रहा है, जिसमें लगभग 50,000 घर बन रहे हैं और अभी लगभग 36,000 घर उसमें कंप्लीट हैं. तो जो एक लैंड का इशू था तो गवर्नमेंट ने उसको अपने ऊपर लेते हुए फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट लैंड देने पे ज़्यादा फोकस किया. सेकेंडली, इन अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग इन पार्टनरशिप में बेनिफिशियरीज को 2 कैटेगरी में किया है कि एक स्लम कैटेगरी है और एक नॉन स्लम कैटेगरी है. तो स्लम कैटेगरी को, हितग्राही को उन्होंने अपार्ट फ्रॉम जो सेंट्रल सब्सिडी एंड स्टेट सब्सिडी है जो 1.5 लाख रुपए है, उनका जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है, हितग्राही का जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है उसको 2 लाख रुपीज़ पे कैप कर दिया है. मतलब हितग्राही को उससे ज़्यादा रुपए देना नहीं पड़ेगा. तो इट हैज़ बिकम अफोर्डेबल फॉर EWS beneficiaries, BPL beneficiaries. And apart from slum beneficiaries, जो नॉन स्लम बेनिफिशरीज है उनको भी अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग के रूप में जो सब्सिडी जो है 3 लाख की, बट जैसे फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट लैंड से उनके जो 1-2 लाख रुपए बचते हैं वो. सेकेंडली, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का जो कॉस्ट बचता है एंड एक क्रॉस सब्सिडी का भी एक मैं आगे बताऊंगा, एक क्रॉस सब्सिडी का भी कंपोनेंट है जिससे उनका हाउस लगभग 5-6 लाख या एवरेज 7 से 8 लाख रुपए में उनको एक अच्छा आवास मिलता है. क्रॉस सब्सिडी मॉडल में बारे में बताना चाहूँगा कि गवर्नमेंट ने जो कि फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट लैंड दी है, वहाँ पे एक इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ इंश्योर करने के लिए उन्होंने EWS के साथ साथ LIG, MIG, HIG की भी फ्लैट्स वहाँ पे बनाए हैं और साथ साथ में वहाँ पे कमर्शियल डेवलपमेंट के हिसाब से शॉप्स भी वहाँ पे बनाए हैं. तो बेसिकली ये जो LIG, MIG, HIG या शॉप्स जो है उनसे जो प्रॉफिट आता है उससे क्रॉस सब्सिडी की है EWS बेनिफिशरीज के हाउस होल्ड्स के लिए. तो एक इनोवेटिव फाइनेंसिंग मैकेनिज्म है जो MP ने अपनाया है. इसके अलावा एक एडिशनल सब्सिडी जो कंस्ट्रक्शन लेबर्स हैं हमारे, तो उनको एक सेपरेट स्कीम से एडिशनल AHP के घटक में 1 लाख रुपए तक का अनुदान उसमें दिया जाता है. एक और इनिशिएटिव जो किया है मध्य प्रदेश शासन ने कि एक ट्राई पार्टी एग्रीमेंट बिटवीन बैंक, हितग्राही और गवर्नमेंट, दैट अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज़, ये एक इनोवेटिव मैकेनिज्म उन्होंने डेवलप किया है जिसमें अर्बन लोकल बॉडी विल बी द गारंटर फॉर द लोन्स. बैंक्स हमेशा एक कोलैटरल और मतलब गारंटी चाहती है कि हमारा लोन रिपे हो. बट बहुत बार इन हितग्राहियों का सिविल स्कोर हो या इनके पास डॉक्यूमेंटेशन हो वो नहीं रहता है, तो इसलिए ये एक ट्राई पार्टी एग्रीमेंट इन तीनों स्टेक होल्डर्स के साथ किया जाता है, जिससे उनको लोन इजीली मिल जाता है. तो दैट इनिशिएटिव इज ऑल्सो देयर. सेकेंडली, एक कॉन्वर्जेंस जो आप मतलब गवर्नमेंट स्कीम्स का है, जैसे अमृत मिशन है, SBM है, मुख्यमंत्री आदर्श योजना वाला वहाँ पे एक स्कीम चलता है, कायाकल्प योजना चलती है, तो इन सारे स्कीम से इन प्रोजेक्ट्स में कैसे हम एक सोशल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर दे सकते हैं, इस पे भी उसमें ध्यान दिया गया है. आखिरी में एक इनोवेटिव जो कंस्ट्रक्शन टेक्नोलॉजीज़ है, आपने एक इंदौर लाइट हाउस प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में सभी ने सुना होगा. वहाँ पे लगभग 1000 फैमिलीज़ के लिए प्री फैब्रिकेटेड सैंडविच पैनल जो टेक्नोलॉजी है उसके माध्यम से एक टावर्स वहाँ पे बनाए गए हैं. तो इनोवेशंस को भी यहाँ पे बढ़ावा दिया गया है. तो इन सब इनिशिएटिव्स की वजह से मध्य प्रदेश हैज़ बीन द टॉप 5 परफॉर्मिंग स्टेट इन प्रधानमंत्री आवास अर्बन योजना. Again, if I would like to thank you, Elets, for giving me the opportunity to share the Madhya Pradesh experience with you. Thank you.
Great experience, great sharing. I think each of the state has unique approaches to this affordable housing based on their own socio-economic and other land-related issues. Now we have on the panel here a representative from the IT industry. Property software is here, and I will request them to speak about the what are the opportunities for IT industry to speed up or make the housing sector easier to access by the common man. So Mr. Jitendra Joshi, who is the director of properties here. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Elets, MHADA, for giving us this opportunity and honor to be part of this wonderful panel. So I am looking at affordable housing from the perspective of providing IT solution to make the whole thing work smoothly and in a most effective way. So when we look at the challenge of providing an IT solution or doing IT intervention for affordable housing, there are two aspects of it. So the first aspect is the authority or the housing body who is providing those houses to the urban poor or so to say. And the second party or second aspect of this group is are the beneficiaries or the citizens who are aspiring to have houses in a city like Mumbai, which is like their lifetime dream. So then we look at it as what are the two important things for each of them. So from the housing authority perspective, they need to make sure the beneficiaries are identified in the best possible way. The person who is receiving house is the duly eligible and a genuine buyer. So the government money should not go waste. And from the buyer's perspective, whatever the platform is there, it should be transparent, it should be easy to use. So ease of using or usability is the most important point from the buyer's point of view. So buyer and seller, so it is like providing a marketplace for buyer and seller. And while developing the application, we have considered these two factors. So when we look at it from the authority point of view, we made sure that the eligibility verification is the most effective. So what we have done is we have integrated with all the various government databases to authenticate and authorize the person who is applying for loan. So we have integrated with income tax department for verifying their income eligibility. We have integrated with caste certifying bodies to verify their caste certificate and eligibility for their caste. Then we have integrated with domicile certificate database to ensure that the buyer who is applying is eligible. And from the buyer's point of view, when they use the application, when they use the platform, it should be so easy that it is like ordering a biryani on Zomato. So what we have done is we have minimized their data entry. So all the application is mobile first application and the data entry fields are minimized. And what we have done is we have only allowed them to take photographs of their documents, and then system using the AI and ML inside identifies and verifies the authenticity and eligibility of the applicant, and only eligible applicants are allowed to participate in the draw. So that made them made the system user friendly. And on the other hand, for the housing authority, it is most efficient for ensuring the eligibility. So now this is what we have done already with MHADA. What you have seen a presentation earlier. What we are trying to do is, from the housing authority, we are trying to bring in blockchain, integrate other government departments to make the entire process seamless. So for example, when the person goes for registration, it should be a smart contract that they are signing with the authorities like IGR, and their registration gets seamlessly processed. And from the buyer's point of view, they should get an application or get an interface which is like talking to their phone. So like you talk to Siri in Apple phone, they should be talking to the application, and application should be responding them in a virtual assistant manner. So this is what we are trying to innovate going forward. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic, and I think everyone remembers the skit which was shown by Property just before the session, that how the users are impacted when technology is used. The ease of getting a house becomes so much easier. So let me request each of the speakers to talk about the role of public-private partnership and what are the challenges. And I think each of the states have different challenges because of like their own issues. So let me request experience from Maharashtra.
So you see, Raviji, Maharashtra has been a pioneer state as far as PPP models are concerned in the housing sector. If I were to list all the projects which are being done in this model, I think I would be eating up on the whole day for the panel discussion. But just to give a brief about it, let's start from Mumbai. So Mumbai, some of the mega projects that are happening right now, for example, even the BDD redevelopment or the Kamatipura redevelopment which will take place, Abhyudaya Nagar which is in the pipeline, Adarsh Nagar, GTB Nagar, even the Gandhi Nagar layouts. So typically it is a PPP model only, but the only difference is that here there is also a third party which is the original tenants or the people who are staying there. That is one. Number two is that as far as housing across Maharashtra is concerned, then we have had a lot of JV policies executed by MHADA or the local urban authorities, whether it is the municipal corporation. And in Maharashtra specifically, we have a separate housing board which is called Maha Housing, which primarily goes into a JV model of redevelopment or fresh greenfield projects, whereby a private player, government, and ultimately the beneficiary. So this is very well set here. Now, the challenge in this is that all these projects take a lot of time, especially if it's a greenfield project. And if it is a brownfield project, then there is the gestation period for the project to start off is at least 2 years to get the land vacated, to get them shifted, to come to an amicable deal as far as what is the rent to be paid, because that much of transit accommodations are not available, and limited, again, the related issues of permission, clearances, and so on. So somehow, because land, land as a purchase factor is something which is not financed institutionally. So the initial capital which is stuck up on the point of if I see it from the developer's point of view, and thereon, the first return that they can expect is when they start their free sale booking, which is again linked up to completion of the rehab in the same proportion. So this makes the cash flow little difficult. So this is one second aspect which I would like to highlight as far as Mumbai specifically is concerned. Coming back to PMAY, as mentioned by my esteemed colleagues from Orissa and Madhya Pradesh, I would be honest to say that Maharashtra has done good in PMAY, but maybe it was not as good as expected. In terms of figures, we have also had almost 12 lakh houses, out of which 6.5 lakh houses is under the CLSS model, credit linked subsidy scheme, and under the various components of BLC, AHP, and we also have something called AHP, PPP, and JV model. Roughly around 4.5 lakh houses are planned to be constructed. A lot of them have been completed. But one major reason as to why the HP model or the PPP model, as far as PMAY is concerned, could not really take off in Maharashtra is because we have had a revision as far as the development control rules are concerned. So initially, like Mumbai has its own DCPR, and for the whole of the state, every corporation had its own DCR, and for the remaining, the regional plan is to prevail. The government thought that we should bring a uniformity. So barring PMRDA, which is the Pune Metropolitan Regional Development Authority, all the other places now are covered under the provisions of UDCPR 2020. Now, what has happened is that if you see the zonal FSI, the basic FSI which is available, which could vary from 1 to 1.1 or 1.2, and our policies also allow for taking FSI on a premium payment basis and take on more FSI by purchasing TDR. So under PMAY, the FSI that you get is 2.5, and if it's a Greenland, then it's 1. But without taking the benefit of PMAY, if I were just to say the base FSI plus the FSI on premium and the FSI which can be taken through TDR, though it has a cost, that ranges anywhere between 2.2 to 2.8. Then the question that comes from the mind of the private player is that supposedly I can get 2.2 or 2.8, obviously at payment of some premiums or buying of the TDR, then why should I bring in a cost cap as far as my selling price is concerned? So this is a big challenge that we are trying to tackle now that the government of India has announced the PMAY version 2. We are trying to work on more on JV schemes to make it equally attractive to the private players to come forth under PMAY schemes or this such housing schemes. And before I conclude on this particular point, I'm happy to say that one of the biggest PMAY projects in the country has been successfully executed in Maharashtra through MHADA. And the Raynagar project in Sholapur, which was basically designed for the absolutely economically downtrodden BD Kamgars, the BD workers, who have been given houses under 5 lakh per unit. And this project was for 30,000 houses in one single layout, where the infrastructure cost and the services have been provided by MHADA in terms of water supply, sewerage, road, electrification, stormwater drainage, and so on. And as we speak, in the month of February, the Honorable Prime Minister was himself here to hand over the 15,000 keys to the beneficiary, and the remaining 15,000 beneficiaries we are expecting to hand over the keys by March or June latest next year. Thank you.
An additional question, Sanjeev ji, that Mumbai is also hub of one of the most expensive real estate in the country. So every day we are like seeing announces 50 crore flat, 100 crore flats and stuff like that. So there is a huge anomaly between affordable housing and the premium housing. So as a housing department, what is the vision to keep the housing accessible?
You have hit upon a very touching issue as far as Mumbai is concerned. It's a fact that the prices of the housing units in Mumbai is very high. As I mentioned in the earlier part, that the affordability index of Mumbai is around 51 in 2023. The good thing is that it was 53 in 2022. And if I were to speak about the affordability index way back in 2010, it was around 93. Pre-pandemic, that is in 2019, it was around 67. So from almost 93 in 2010, we have come down to 51, but yet it is very high than the national average, which is around 30. And that is what the guidelines of the housing department says. Second aspect is, as per the definition of RBI, the affordable housing pricing as far as Mumbai is concerned is 65 lakhs. I'm happy to say that the houses that are constructed by MHADA in Mumbai also, in the category of EWS and LIG, the price ranges anywhere between 30 to 60 or 70 lakhs on an average. So that's the reason as to why, the number of applicants that we received in our online lottery is many a times more than the number of houses which are being allotted. To just give you an example, right now, the Mumbai board lottery is live. And for 2,000 odd houses, we have already received more than 60,000 applications. 6 months back, we had another round of Mumbai board where for 4,000 houses, we received almost 1,20,000 plus applications. So MHADA houses are definitely very much affordable. The concern is for the affordable housing which is made available through the private sector. Now the silver lining is that if all the redevelopment projects, whether it is the almost 2.25 lakh dwelling units which are in the 114 layouts, or the roughly 2 to 3 lakh dwelling units which are there in the CES buildings. In the next 10 years or 15 years, if all this go for redevelopment, apart from rehabilitating the original tenants out there, this is also going to bring out in the open market roughly 8 to 10 lakh houses for sale. Now when I say 8 to 10 lakh houses for sale, if the supply would be so high, then definitely the equilibrium of pricing would have a slight positive impact as far as the costing is concerned. Second is, if you see Mumbai, you see it's a landlocked city. The services are already very strained. It's almost on the verge of not being able to absorb more. Every day we have hordes of people coming in the city. Slums are there. They have to be rehabilitated. And as a government organization, our priority or our focus is to provide affordable housing to the commonest of the citizen, to the person who has an income in the range of 6 to 9 lakhs or even around below 10 lakhs. There are certain issues pertaining to the real estate sector, especially in terms of certain demands of theirs that, for affordable housing, if the GST can be waived, which is almost 5% of that, and also the stamp duty. So for MHADA housing under PMAY, we take a stamp duty of only 1,000 rupees. But for them, again, the stamp duty is 5%, and then there's an add-on of a metro cess, which is another 1%. So straight, if GST and the stamp duty and the metro cess, if it can be reworked, maybe a 10% reduction can be in the offering. So that is one aspect which is being very deliberately being considered by the state government and is being pursued with the central government for a policy change in this regard. But I, as a VP MHADA, I personally feel that there wouldn't be, I would say, a very high price reduction in the coming years. But definitely there would be a curb as far as the rise in prices are concerned, especially in the sector of affordable housing. And because we are determined to provide absolute affordable housing to the poorest of the poor, and there's another organization by the name of SRA, which is the Slum Rehabilitation Authority, which is headed by another officer, but under the housing department, and with the vision of trying to make Mumbai slum-free. And a lot of models are being worked to either take over the stalled projects or the projects which could not take off. I see to it that a lot of housing stock will come to Mumbai in the next 10 to 15 years. And just before I conclude, one last point I would like to mention that recently the state government has done an amendment as far as the MHADA Act is concerned. So we did not, for the redevelopment proposals, we did not have any enabling provision. It was all dependent on the society or the landowner to submit a proposal. And if the proposal was not submitted, MHADA had no power to ensure that the proposal comes through. So with this amendment of 79A, which is a landmark amendment, MHADA now has been given the right to declare a building dilapidated. And once it is done, then after the mandatory period of 3 months, the landowner has the right to submit a proposal for within 6 months. If he or she is unable to do so, the tenants get this right for the next 6 months. And if neither are able to do so, then this right of appointing a developer or going in for the redevelopment comes to MHADA. So this was never there. This is the first time that an enabling provision has been made in the Act. Similarly, for projects which were sanctioned but had taken off but was stalled for various reasons, there was no major provision within MHADA to see to it that it can issue a stop work or cancel the NOC, and most importantly, take over the redevelopment project. So this amendment has been carried forth in 91A. And I'm happy to say that, roughly notices under more than 850 notices have been issued under 79A, and almost 60 plus notices have been issued under 91A. Last but not the least, related, I know I'm extending my time limit, is the issue that one of the major lacuna was that the landowners always had a resistance when it came to forceful acquisition of the land, because the compensation that was paid to them was very minuscule. So it was just, as per the provisions of the Act 92 or 93, it was only 100 times of the rent, which is nothing. The rent was already freezed under the Rent Control Act. There are disputes going on. So every time the forceful acquisition to take place, people used to go to the court, there used to be litigation. Now with this amendment, a very positive change has been made, whereby 25% of the ready reckoner value of the land or 15% value of the free sale area, whichever is higher, is to be compensated to the landowners. So in the current scenario, if I just put a gist, the basic issue of land compensation has been sorted. The second issue of giving an enabling provision to MHADA to call for proposals for redevelopment has been resolved. And thirdly, a provision which empowers MHADA to take over these stalled projects has been made. So we are also trying to make a roadmap to see to it that at least the CES, almost the 13,000 odd CES buildings in the island city of Mumbai come in for redevelopment in the next 10 to 15 years. And believe me, Raviji, if this happens, it's going to be a game changer as far as the skyline of Mumbai is concerned. And it would definitely provide a big impetus to affordable housing, especially in the category of EWS and LIG for the downtrodden and the poor citizens. Thank you.
A lot of action and reforms, I think, are happening in this housing sector in Maharashtra and also in Mumbai. And kudos to the dynamic leadership of this government, which is taking all these steps. And I think these steps will also inspire that other states who are facing similar issues, they can adopt these lessons and ideas from here. So let me request our speaker from MP, Madhya Pradesh, to talk about role of the private sector in the development of housing sector in your state, and how is the government and private sector collaboration happening there?
Thank you, Raviji. In first phase of Pradhan Mantri Awas, there was no scope of PPP mode. But government 2 years back, through redevelopment and redensification policy, has started to monetize the government land, which were present in all the cities in abundant manner, because in Madhya Pradesh, land is not the issue as of now. So under this policy, in public-private partnership, government lease out the land to the private developer, and in exchange developed some, for example, in government setup offices were developed, in some cities colleges were developed, in some cities houses were developed. So in that mode, Madhya Pradesh government is trying to leverage the advantage of land. Secondly, the policy matter is in pipeline for affordable housing in Pradhan Mantri Awas second phase, because it has been made a vertical under Pradhan Mantri Awas Urban second phase by central government only, that you have to implement it in a public-private partnership. So a policy is in pipeline, and I think with the cross-learning from Maharashtra, Odisha, a good policy would be developed in near future, and we would be able to rope in the private players all across the country to invest in Madhya Pradesh. Thank you.
Fantastic. And let us hear from Odisha experience. If you can talk about collaboration between the government and the private sector.
Thank you, Rabiji. As I told you that the state of Odisha is one of those early birds which captured the spirit of PMAY. In 2000, right back in 2015-16, this PPP mode we brought in. Now the biggest question was that how to bring them under one umbrella, because no builder will come immediately that for the affordable housing, that they will always calculate so we thought that let's have a complete all the stakeholders will come under one umbrella. They will debate, discuss, and we have to come to. So we involved, as I told you that International Finance Corporation by World Bank, we gave them the charge of doing a consortium where the government led by the General Administration Department and Urban Development. We have one department, Urban and Housing Department. It's one department there. And the Housing Corporation was also there. And secondly, we involved RERA, because we thought that if you want to bring the builders under our fold, let the RERA be involved. So RERA was the first, constituted in Odisha, and we involved them also. Thirdly, we also involved the Builders Association, because they also have a lot of hesitancy to come and participate in that. We also involved them. Then we also involved the Bhubaneswar Development Authority and all the financial institutions, whoever are, the banks, the cooperatives, and all the. So everybody was there. So after a lot of sessions, brainstorming session, lot of inviting objections, we finally come to a policy decision. So now as per this policy decision, the lands is to be given by the Bhubaneswar Development Authority. And in Bhubaneswar city, we have lands owned by General Administration Department, which has given leased land to BDA, Bhubaneswar Development Authority, as well as Municipal Corporation. So they also, the two things, they also allot lands. So the lands will be given to them, to the builders. We also had an open tender where the builders also participated. Quoting on their subsidy and all, we have decided. It's a very transparent way of decision. So as I was just telling Maharashtra also, we have a single window concept where all the applications and everything, all plan approval, everything, under one go, it is being approved. But we still have a lot of challenges. For one, for example, supposing the beneficiaries normally want to stay where their traditional profession is there. So they will not go away from the city. And in the city, we have a lot of constraint of lands. So if they go 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers away from the city, our experience says they will never go there. Again, they will here and there. Either they sell it off or they will put it on rent. So that was not our motto actually. We want that these houses, wherever they are, let it be developed in situ. For that vertical part, that we have decided, and we have already inaugurated 9 vertical, very high-rise buildings in Bhubaneswar. These are all by BDA and Housing Board. They have done it. So the beneficiaries, the initial apprehensions of the builders, as my colleague from the Madhya Pradesh said, the government become a guarantor. Government remained a guarantor so that there will be no crisis of confidence among the builders, among the other parties or beneficiaries. Everybody should be under, they shouldn't have any confusion. Apart from this is all policy decisions. Secondly, we wanted that how this is to be executed, because we need a constant monitoring. Because the projects is once announced, once it is to be grounded, it also have a lot of hurdles. Plan approval, then encroachments, then legal cases, compensation issues, huge things are coming up. So we thought that there has to be again a complete monitoring system where persons from different departments, all concerned departments, they were also there. So they also have to give a quarterly report to us so that the monitoring is there. Then there is also social auditing also done by a third party, we have already outsourced this to third party. They make a social auditing of all this. So the whole idea is that the policy is good. In fact, Odisha got the under PMAY, it got the best policy, best state have a innovative policy initiative in 2021. But by adopting a policy doesn't make it has to be grounded in time. So the time should not exceed the time schedule or the work schedule or whatever the. So that is how the monitoring committee needs to be done. Fortunately, the government of Odisha has very strong things like the chief secretary is the chairman, and couple of secretaries, the finance secretary, the urban secretary, the public enterprise department secretary, the a couple of secretaries are there to monitor. Lot of engineers are there to monitor. Lot of financial people are also involved. So it's a very comprehensive group, and a report is submitted every time, and every 3 months it is placed before the government for a decision at the review by the chief minister. So that is what I'm telling you, that the policy we have adopted, it is a unique policy, good policy, but for grounded we had some issues. For that, the monitoring system, the social auditing thing, the report has to be constantly coming. So we are at least in the takeoff stage. I think 50% are already grounded very, very comfortably, but there are some issues. We're addressing them, and we are constantly doing it, constantly developing for PMAY 1 and 2, both of them, and we have been very, very carefully designing and updating ourselves. We are keeping an organic pace with the change of technology and time. Because then AI has come up, a lot of things have been comfortable, like a digital platform has come up. So things we made easy for them. Thank you very much.
Excellent experience, excellent inputs. And let me request our panelists from the IT industry who talk about the role of public-private partnerships, and specifically like you have worked in the IT sector. So like your collaboration with the government and how these collaborations enhance the overall productivity and accessibility of housing.
So, thank you very much. Public-private partnership from IT perspective is very limited, because if you see for the housing sector, I mean, so if you see public PPP for housing by a real estate player is very logical step to do, and it's just a matter of having the math right in place, and then it can take off. But for IT perspective, it still is doable. So we have a couple of cases where we are charging some fees directly to the citizen, which they may be paying, and then in that case we the authority would get the IT technology at free of cost, and the citizen benefits from the latest technology. So this could be a way of doing PPP for the IT sector, so to say. Yeah, thank you.
Before we conclude, I just forgot to mention one point. You see, over the years, MHADA was being a facilitator between the private developer and the residents. Apart from being a contractor in the sense of, appointing contractors for construction of houses on its own land. In the last 6 months or 1 year, there has been a slight change as far as the objective is concerned. And like 2 projects which I can mention of, which are going to be very iconic projects and, a game changer again as far as Mumbai is concerned, is where MHADA has stepped in as a developer. So, instead of the conventional way, we have stepped in as a developer and we are appointing vendors for the construction of the houses. So one classic example is the erstwhile, what it is called a BDD chawl, which spreads across almost 92 acres in Mumbai in 3 prime locations. And only the residential tenements which has to be rehabilitated for people who are having a holding of around 160 square feet to free of cost 500 square feet houses. And most of the houses will be having a sea-facing view. Out of this 16,000 odd houses in 3 locations, the actual construction of 6,000 plus houses have been started, and we are targeting the first delivery of the houses somewhere in March or June 2025. So this is, something which is a new role that MHADA is stepping into. Second similar project which I would like to mention about is, it is slightly very a legacy of disputes and fights going on in the courts, that is regarding Patrachal. But not going into the past history or the legacy, now MHADA is stepping into this layout also, which is almost again another 30 to 40 acres, wherein for the remaining plots which are in our possession or which are expected to come in our possession, we come in as a developer. We have just floated the bids for the appointment of a contractor, and the same pattern will be followed. So in short, you see, like, we are continuously evolving upon our role with the realization that land not being available, whatever is the existing land, how can we promote vertical redevelopment and at the same time ensure that the costing remains within control. To speak about the state, like MHADA is also a special planning authority for a district next to Nagpur that is called Chandrapur, and a new Chandrapur is there where almost 1,300 odd hectares land. MHADA is the special planning authority. We are working on that also to see to it that a small township comes forth. And the government of Maharashtra's focus now is to see that with the enhancement in the connectivity in the MMR region, that is the Mumbai Metropolitan region, especially with the Atal Setu, coastal road, the expansion of the coastal road further to Warsaw and thereon, and the multimodal corridor, and even the inland water transport. So government is now focusing on seeing that if we can have other magnets in terms of city potential in the vicinity and periphery of Mumbai. And over the last few years, if you see the number of construction which are taking place in cities like Thane, Bhimandi, Kalyan, Mira Bhayandar, Navi Mumbai, it is unprecedented. And with so much of a housing hub coming across under greenfield projects and in Mumbai as a brownfield project, in the next 10-15 years, this whole MMR region will present an entirely different picture when it comes at the national scenario and even at the international scenario. Thank you.
So I think we had an interesting panel here, and a lot of new ideas have emerged, new thoughts have emerged. So I thank all our esteemed panelists for joining in, and